always talked about here, like that white people, does the Africans actually hate the black Americans? And does the black Americans actually hate the Africans? Because it is something that I've seen in many of the videos, like the Africa and the black American war. So one of the most sensitive conversation in our community is this: why do people say black Americans hate Africans? Let's clear the air today because the truth is often misunderstood. Now, black Americans don't just randomly hate Africans. Their history, pain, and stereotype on both sides. And honestly, black Americans deserve more understanding than criticism. So, in the podcast that you have listened, it will be wise if a black Americans would have come out and give out why they hate the Africans. But to be honest, I've never seen a black American trying to hate on African, especially when they're on the motherland. Now, I want to start by saying that black American struggle in America is something that we need to also talk about. Now, black Americans have carried centuries of oppression in the US, in the United States, from slavery, Jim Crow, and even segregation to system racism today. They had to build their own culture, their own music, their own identity, while constantly being told they don't belong anywhere. So when Africans say you don't know your roots, it can feel like a stab in the heart because that disconnection wasn't their choice, it was forced on them. So why the friction with African happen is that sometimes the friction comes when African move to America and say, we worked harder, why can't you? Or when they look down on black Americans as lazy or lost. To be honest, this has also been one of the conversations that people have always said. Now this hurts because it dismisses the unique struggle black Americans face. On the flip side, black Americans sometimes lash out at Africans because they feel Africans don't understand the price they paid surviving in America. But again, this isn't about hate, it is about pain talking to pain. Because you living in America, your life only belongs on the police mode. Like today you can wake up happy, then when you are going traveling somewhere, police arrest you or kill you. So that's how they there has been a lot of pain about them. Now when I look at the positive side, I also realize that the truth is black Americans don't actually hate Africans. In fact, many celebrate African cultures, from Afrobeat to music to fashion, and many are traveling back to reconnect with Ghana, Nigeria, South Africa, and even beyond in many parts of continent Africa. Now the connection is there, that it's just layered with century of misunderstanding. Now instead of hating, what we are really seeing is a family argument between a long lost relative trying to be rebuild trust. So let's defend black Americans here by saying that their frustration isn't about hating Africans, it is about being robbed of Africa. The goal shouldn't be about division, but healing, because when Africans and black Americans unite, we become unstoppable. Now, I didn't have much to talk about in the video, but honestly, I was also annoyed by seeing that this conversation continuing up to 2025. Instead of this conversation continuing, we should also try to build the trust amongst one another, because when you talk about black Americans hating on Africa, in their country, they are being oppressed by the same people who are also oppressing Africans in this side. So we have this common enemy, and you know the common enemy because I'm not going to mention them here. You all know the common enemy, and yeah, we need to have a unity so that the unity, the mass, the mass, the more the numbers, the more we become unstoppable, we become undefeated. Otherwise, I didn't have much to talk about it, but what I can argue with Africans is that we need to stop this conversation about black Americans hating on Africans. The same also goes to the other and when I give out the ball is that black Americans should also not talk about this conversation anymore, because it is not bringing any benefit in the community. How about when we start exchanging knowledge, ideas, and even business ideas, and even work trips on how we can benefit on one another and build this community? Because, as earlier said,